Sensation nerves are attached to the brain and sometimes near a muscle to move away from pain using a motor neuron and a motor fiber. The end of a pain nerve is a nerve ending. They branch out and connect to tissues in the body. Neurons can also send signals, communicate with each other, either splitting a signal, or they can make complex logic capable of sentience, math, and more in the brain. Eyes use nerves to communicate signals from light-sensitive cones and rods in the eye. Rods are sensitive to light and cones are sensitive to a specific color. Rods and cones are actually nerves. Taste and smell are quite similar in that they both use chemical receptors on the tongue and nose respectively. Pain nerves can see capsaicin as heat damage and cause a feeling of pain in the mouth, nose, and other areas with pain receptors nearby. People with less pain receptors in a certain area will feel less of the spicy heat. The nerves are full of receptors that can detect chemicals, acidity, temperature, and cell damage from detecting ATP leakage in broken cells that have received trauma. The nerve cell is full of channels that open up during reception and creates a signal traveling up the neuron with an action potential. For pressure detection, the body has nerves that detect pressure specifically. The densities on the neuron are arranged in a circular pattern and connect to each other when touched. When touched, it sends a signal to the brain. Pain nerves can both trigger inflammation and alert the immune system. Acid detection helps with detecting acid damage, but also lactic acid from anaerobic respiration. Temperature detection can make sure one avoids a heat stroke and hypothermia. Nerves exist to prevent significant cell damage, send and receive signals, and to move using muscles. The amount of ATP released and sent to the nerves and how many nerves are affected can determine the amount of pain, or if it's touch, and whether the feeling is sharp or blunt. The frequency of the nerve signal dictates what the brain interprets. This can be the type of pain and the intensity. The speed of the signal is faster when the nerve is large and has a myelin sheath, which is a type of insulator. The nerves below the brain go through the spinal cord, which protects nerves and nerve roots with bone and meninges, which is a layer of web-like tissue that cushions the nerves. Meninges also protect the brain. Large parts of the nervous system include the thalamus, which is the part of the brain that responds to pain and sensation. Other parts of the brain can influence the amount of pain and create pain without sensory nerves. Sensory nerves can also be squeezed, which makes a painful sensation, or they can be damaged and either completely lose sensation or give pain or touch sensation without anything even being applied. Nerves are used for a lot more than touch. Nerves send signals to most organs with the exception of the use of hormones. Nerves are responsible for sight, dilation, crying, rotation, and many other functions of the eye. Nerves stimulate saliva production, swallowing muscles, tongue movement, and control almost everything in the human body. This is just scratching the surface. The eyes and the mouth are not the only thing controlled by nerves. The brain's a significant part of the nervous system, controlling the entire body. Without it, we'd be like components with no program. The brain uses neurons to send signals back and forth along with hormones. Many parts of the brain have similar functions to others. The spinal cord is where most nerves are protected by bone. The midbrain controls eye movements, emotions, memory, and hearing. Pons control facial muscles, hearing, breathing, and balance. And then the medulla controls breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, and reflexes. The frontal lobe controls voluntary movement, speech, memory, emotions, personality, judgment, planning, and organization. The parietal lobe controls spatial awareness and sensory information like touch and sensation. The temporal lobe processes taste, sight, smell, sound, language, memory, and hearing. This is why something like flavors relies so much on smell and sight, and why sensing certain items can bring back memories. The occipital lobe processes colors and shapes from the eyes. The cerebellum controls motor functions, coordination, and balance. And the thalamus controls the hypothalamus to inject hormones into the blood for information, like contracting an organ. The cerebrum opens our lives to emotions, social emotions, awareness, facial expressions, perception, posture, rhythm, and language. The Broca and Wernicke's area produce speech and promote speaking. The amygdala regulates emotions, memory, stress, fight or flight, and motivational chemicals like dopamine. The hippocampus controls long-term memory, learning, navigation, and perception. The nervous system controls everything. For physical activity, without the nervous system or brain, our heart wouldn't pump and we'd die. Without our brain, we'd also not be able to control skeletal muscles with the cerebellum, or balance with both our vision and the temporal and occipital lobe, and the cerebellum as well. We couldn't feel when our feet were to touch the ground, or if we hurt ourselves. At night, one wouldn't be able to know if they fell, because they just couldn't see. Without nerves, taking a simple walk is absolutely impossible. During a walk, nerves would retain balance from pressure on our feet and vision from our eyes. It would send nerve impulses to the legs and arms to move the muscles. The feet would detect pressure, and that's both felt and interpreted as spatial awareness, with all the other muscles being used. Motor neurons would be fired to move the muscles, make the heart pump, and breathe with the diaphragm for oxygen to power essential organs. Nerve signals the digestive system to convert food to ATP, control other essential organs like the heart, and the brain would make it possible to even consider taking a walk. During the walk, hormones would be released from the hypothalamus to give different organ signals, and change emotions like with dopamine. Every action and physical activity relies upon nerves. In conclusion, everyone wants nerves, even when they do get on our nerves. Ha, dad joke. Nerves are our brains, most of the body's signals, the thing that controls every muscle, our feeling, seeing, smelling, tasting, hearing. Nerves prevent cell damage and triggers the immune system in case of a threat. Nerves can also be logical and split signals. Nerves are incredible.